the Paris attacks, Facebook activated its safety check feature. In the first 24 hours, more than 4 million people clicked Facebook's I'm Safe button to send a notification to people that they were okay. But this morning, Facebook is dealing with backlash for launching the safety check feature in Paris and not Beirut. One day earlier, an ISIS attack in the Lebanese capital claimed more than 40 lives.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg answered the criticism. He wrote this: "Many people have rightfully asked why we turned on Safety Check for Paris, but not for the bombings in Beirut. Until yesterday, our policy was only to activate Safety Check for natural disasters. We just changed this." CBS News contributor Nicholas Thompson is the editor of the New Yorker's magazine website, NewYorker.com. Nick, good morning.
Good morning.
Does this explanation make sense to you, and why do you think they're getting the backlash? Do you understand the backlash?
The explanation doesn't make sense. They could have activated it one day earlier for Beirut. It is true that it is a new technology. It is something Facebook has been working on, and in general is a very beneficial thing that they have built that is quite helpful and that is evolving and will continue to get better. But it is absolutely true that the technology was just as good the day before.
So what's the answer as to why they did not activate it for Beirut?
Because the world was much more alarmed at what happened in Paris. There are many more Facebook engineers who have spent time in Paris. There are many more friends of the top executives at Facebook who were probably in Paris. They were more concerned about it. I mean, and that ties into the general critique of technology companies that they're too elitist, they're too Western, they're driving up the rents. This is part of a long conversation, this critique.
But the I'm Safe button had been used previously for natural disasters.
Right.
So, I mean, this was a totally new use by Facebook.
Absolutely.
So don't they deserve some credit for, at least while it was slow, they were slow to sort of activate it? This was, they've now developed an entirely new policy.
Right. So I think they absolutely deserve credit for this. I think they absolutely deserve credit for using it in Paris. And I think it absolutely makes sense that in general you use it for natural disasters, right? It doesn't make sense to use it during a war because you need to use it in an event where there's a beginning and an end. Otherwise, what does I'm safe mean? Because you can be at danger right afterwards. However, the attack in Beirut could just have easily been a moment where you wanted to check and see whether your friends were safe. And people in Lebanon do use Facebook at extremely high rates. So the critique isn't that it's a bad feature. The critique is only, couldn't you have noticed it a little before?
So you understand the backlash is
Let's
what
talk
you're
about the
saying.
encrypted.
I want to hear about the encrypted app, too. We've been talking about the dark side of social media. What can you tell us about that, Nick, how that operates, and can that be broken?
Well, what's so interesting is that it seems as though intelligence officials didn't really have the sense of chatter, didn't really know that this attack was coming. And it seems like a lot of that was because so much of the conversation was encrypted. This was clearly a well thought out plan with lots and lots of parts that we didn't know about. Okay, so now why is that? Well, maybe our sources aren't as good, maybe this, maybe that. But it's also clear that ISIS and other terrorist groups are getting better and better at using encrypted software, using encrypted platforms. And it's also true that in the last few years, there's been a backlash against the American technology companies' relationship with the government.
Right.
So what can be done about the encryption?
Well, at each different level, at the phone level, at the software level, at the access level, you need better tools.
Thank you.
Nick Thompson, thank you so much.